The morning sun painted golden streaks across the Hudson River as Margaret Chen made her way across the pedestrian bridge. Her 6-month-old daughter Lily nestled in a carrier against her chest. At 42, Margaret had finally become a mother after years of hoping, praying, and eventually embracing the beautiful uncertainty of adoption. Lily had come into her life just 3 months ago, a precious gift with dark, curious eyes and the sweetest smile Margaret had ever seen. But that morning, something wasn't right. Margaret had been feeling dizzy for the past hour, dismissing it as just exhaustion. Single motherhood was harder than she'd imagined, though she wouldn't trade it for anything. The sleepless nights, the constant worry, the overwhelming love that sometimes took her breath away, it was all worth it. Still, she probably should have eaten more than just coffee for breakfast. The bridge stretched ahead of her, and with each step, the world seemed to tilt just a little more. She gripped the railing with one hand, her other arm instinctively wrapping around Lily. The baby cooed softly, unaware of her mother's struggle. Margaret's vision blurred at the edges. She tried to focus, tried to keep moving forward, but her legs felt like water. Then everything went dark. She never hit the ground. Strong arms caught her, cradling both her and Lily as she collapsed. Through the fog of unconsciousness, Margaret could hear a man's voice, urgent but calm, calling for help. She felt herself being lowered gently to the bridge's walkway, felt someone carefully supporting her head. The baby was crying now, but someone was soothing her, protecting her. When Margaret's eyes fluttered open moments later, she found herself looking up at a stranger's face. He was a man in his late 30s, with kind brown eyes filled with concern and graying hair at his temples. His hands were still steadying her shoulders, making sure she wouldn't fall again. "Take it easy," he said softly. "You're okay. Your baby's okay. I've got you both." Margaret's first instinct was to reach for Lily, and he understood immediately, carefully helping her sit up while keeping the baby secure. A small crowd had gathered, and someone was already on the phone with emergency services. "I'm Thomas," the man said. "Thomas Rivera. You fainted, but I caught you before you fell. When's the last time you ate something?" Margaret's cheeks flushed with embarrassment. "Just coffee," she admitted weakly. Thank you. You saved us. You need to take care of yourself, too," Thomas said gently, without judgment. "Your little one needs you healthy." The paramedics arrived within minutes. Margaret's blood sugar was dangerously low, they said. She needed to eat, to rest, to ask for help when she needed it. Thomas stayed with her the entire time, holding Lily, while they checked Margaret's vitals, making silly faces at the baby to keep her from crying. Before the ambulance took Margaret to the hospital for observation, she managed to thank Thomas properly. He pulled a business card from his wallet, he was a contractor, she learned, and pressed it into her hand. "If you ever need anything," he said, "anything at all, please call. No one should have to do this alone." Margaret tucked the card into her purse, certain she'd never use it but grateful for the kindness nonetheless. Life moved forward, as it always does. Margaret recovered quickly, started eating better, accepted help from her church community. Lily grew from a baby into a toddler, filling their small apartment with laughter and chaos. Margaret threw herself into motherhood with everything she had, but the loneliness crept in sometimes, especially in the quiet evenings after Lily was asleep. She thought about Thomas occasionally, how gentle he'd been, how he'd known exactly what to do. She wondered if he had children of his own, what his story was. But the business card stayed in her purse, and the months passed. Then one day, nearly 6 months after the bridge incident, Margaret found herself standing in line at the grocery store when she heard a familiar voice behind her. "Margaret!" She turned, and there he was, Thomas, looking just as kind as she remembered, though perhaps a bit more tired. He was alone, pushing a cart with what looked like ingredients for a lonely dinner for one. "Thomas!" The recognition came with a rush of warmth. "I've thought about you so many times. I never properly thanked you for what you did." "You don't need to thank me," he said, smiling. "How's your daughter? Lily, wasn't it?" She was touched that he remembered. "She's wonderful, growing like a weed. She's with my neighbor right now." Margaret hesitated, then added, "Would you like to, if you're free, maybe you could come for dinner sometime? It's the least I can do." Thomas's face brightened in a way that made Margaret realize how lonely he might be too. I'd like that very much. That dinner led to another, and another. Margaret learned that Thomas had been divorced for 3 years, that he had no children of his own. His greatest regret, he said quietly. He'd married young, divorced after his wife decided she wanted a different life than the one they'd built together. He threw himself into his work, into helping others, but went home to an empty house every night. Lily took to Thomas immediately. He'd get down on the floor and build block towers with her, read her stories in funny voices, carry her on his shoulders around the park. Margaret watched them together and felt something shift in her heart, a door opening that she'd thought was closed forever. I never thought I'd have this, Thomas admitted one evening after Lily was asleep. They were sitting on Margaret's small balcony sharing a pot of tea, a family, someone to come home to. Neither did I, Margaret said softly. I spent so many years trying to become a mother, and when it finally happened through adoption, I thought it would just be Lily and me. That would have been enough. But this, she gestured between them, this is more than I ever dreamed of. Thomas reached for her hand. That day on the bridge, when I caught you, I didn't just save you, you saved me too. You just didn't know it yet. They married on an autumn afternoon 2 years after that first dinner, in a small ceremony by the same bridge where they'd met. Lily, now 3 years old, scattered flower petals with enthusiastic abandon. Margaret wore a simple cream dress and carried wildflowers. Thomas cried when he said his vows. I promise to catch you every time you fall, he said, his voice thick with emotion. To be the father Lily deserves, and the partner you can lean on. You've given me a family when I thought that dream was gone forever. Margaret squeezed his hands, her own eyes wet. And I promise to let you catch me. To trust in this beautiful, unexpected gift we've been given. To build a life with you that honors the moment we met. A moment of vulnerability that became the foundation of our greatest strength. A year later, they adopted again. A 5-year-old boy named Danny who'd been in foster care, who needed a home and parents who understood that love could come in all forms, at any time. Then came Emma, a newborn whose teenage mother chose life for her baby but couldn't raise her. Their house was chaos and joy, noise and laughter, tears and triumphs. Thomas taught the kids carpentry in the garage on weekends. Margaret read them stories every night, all 3 children piled into one bed. They were a family built not from blood, but from choice, from showing up, from the simple act of one person catching another when they fell on quiet evenings when the children were finally asleep. Margaret and Thomas would sit together and marvel at how their lives had unfolded. From a moment of crisis on a bridge to a home overflowing with love. From 2 lonely people to a family of 5. Do you ever think about what would have happened if you hadn't been there that day? Margaret asked one night. Thomas pulled her close. Every day, and every day I'm grateful. I was exactly where I needed to be, exactly when you needed me. We saved each other, Margaret whispered. We did, Thomas agreed. And then we built something beautiful. In the end, that's what life often is. A series of moments where we choose to catch someone or let ourselves be caught. Where we say yes to connection instead of retreating into fear. Where we recognize that the families we create can be just as powerful as the ones we're born into. Margaret Chen and Thomas Rivera learned that lesson on a bridge one sunny morning. They taught it to their children every single day. That kindness matters, that showing up matters, that opening your heart when it would be easier to keep it closed, that matters most of all. Their family of 5 wasn't what either of them had planned. It was better. It was a testament to second chances, to the power of one person being in the right place at the right time, to the beautiful truth that love, real love, can begin anywhere, even on a bridge, in a moment of falling. Especially then.